Good. How are you?
I'm very, very good. So, what are we talking about today?
So we're going to do little. Well, it might not help people, but I think it will, and helps others that I've spoke to. Networking and where to try and get your name and your business and create awareness from for leads and things, because the figures that I've done on my own, I think a lot of the time I get asked if I do lead generation and if I'm buying the leads in, and I've never ever done that. Everything's always been self-generated through either social media or events, contacts, like things I've set up. So I thought it might be a good one. I keep getting it asked. I've been getting it a lot more the last few months. So I thought if I could do a little episode on what I think's helped and where I think business comes from, then might be able to help other people who are starting out or wanting to look at new ways to get business.
Absolutely. So when it comes to networking for you, then what is it that how have you kind of approached it?
I always, when I first ever started, I took the stance of doing everything possible. So I'm a very all or nothing type person. So if I'm doing something, I'm doing it 100%. And that means if I get asked to go to like the BNIs or like the breakfast meetings, like events, free events, conferences, things like that, just to be there as much as possible for me. Even if you're using it for content for social media, or you never know who that person is you're speaking to. So like there's a funny one where I did one BNI and it's like, I'm not really educated on it, but you do one free go, don't you? Or you get 2 free goes and then you have to sign up.
Yeah.
Now, I've never signed up. I just did the free goes because I'm a tight cap. So I did the free go and I met a lovely lady on there who was on her free go as well. And she was running a florist. And, you know, when you just sort of like you start a journey off at similar places, and now like she's doing amazing, like my company's growing and doing really well. And we're still in contact, and it's just, we're always like, supporting each other. And even though that's not a sale, I know for a fact that anyone she ever speaks to who needs insurance, she will recommend me, because that's who, if she thinks of insurance, she'll think of me. And you never know who that person is you're speaking to. It might not be a direct sale, it might not be, you know, a big lead or client or making money there and then, but eventually there will come a time when it'll come round and you'll think, oh, that's why that happened. So anything you can get to go to in terms of meeting other people, meeting other businesses, might be able to work alongside other companies, doing things where you pass each other, like business, or understand how you can benefit each other's companies, even if it is just promotion on social media, do it. Because everyone knows that I use social media for my main source of leads, but you haven't got a social media if you aren't doing anything. Yes. So you have to have the content to be able to mix it up, and to even just things like there was one that was an event at Rockcliffe, like just going to Rockcliffe Hall, which is a really nice hotel up in the northeast. Just going there and being there, it's like getting out and about and seeing the other type of people that attend these things helps. I know a lot of people think they're a load of shite, and I'm not claiming here that I've had loads of business from them, but I know that if I think about them, each of them have had a little spider web attached to them and they've gone somewhere eventually. So what's that saying about whack a dead horse in the face? What is it? Don't
look a gift horse in the mouth.
Yeah, that one. Don't do that. You know what I mean?
You just don't want to whack a dead horse in the face, whatever you do. That's not a good idea.
If you're getting something and you're getting invited places, take advantage of it, because you don't know where it'll take you, because it does work, it does. And a lot of it might not come to much, but eventually there'll be a reason why it paid off. Other things like locally, I don't do a lot of local work now, but I did, like all of these things that when I first started have helped me get to a point where I can build to not have to do it, but you still have to do it. So it's like when we're training people now, like me and Emmy are having this conversation the other week, who's the best, absolutely amazing mortgage advisor, and I love it a bit. She's one of my best friends, and she has built an amazing platform on TikTok. She doesn't need to do anything apart from TikTok, but like she's also been a mortgage broker for 10 years, and we're like training people now, and it's like almost like, oh, well, you aren't doing that. I'm like, yeah, because like we did that then. Like we've done that. Like, yeah, I don't have to do that now. I don't have to do it. But
it's the do as I say and not as I do. Like I have that when I'm teaching clients, and they'll say, well, do this, and they go, well, I look at your content and you're not doing that. I'm like, yeah, because, and the way I like to describe it to people is just levels. And I say, look, there's 3 levels here. I said, you're level 1, I'm level 3. And when you're really, really good, you'll be level 3 and you'll do the same thing I'm doing. But
and then you can choose if you do it or not. Like you can't, it's like that old thing of
learning to drive.
Every time you like the amount of people who message and say, oh, I've done a couple of videos, I've done a couple of posts on LinkedIn, I haven't got any leads. And I'm like,
yeah.
I've been doing that consecutively over and over again for 2 years straight. And like it pays off, like 2 posts away.
I have it where people say, there's a great guy that I met, and he said this about to me about like marketing and stuff with social media. And he said 6 months, what he actually said, which I think is really, he said, pick a topic, pick like we said with network, he said, pick something and do it consistently for 6 months. And he said, and when I mean consistently, he said, I mean, if you're going to talk, let's say you're going to talk about insurance. So if you're going to talk about insurance, you're going to talk about insurance for 6 months. And the day you don't talk about insurance, reset that clock, because you're going to start again. And he said, and you do that. He said, if you can do it for 6 months, day in, day out, but consistently, he said, you'll get something. He said, you'll get momentum. He said, now, what do you want from momentum? He said, you're not going to become a multimillionaire in 6 months, but you're going to generate things from it. But the problem, as you said there, is people go, they do 3 weeks and they 2 weeks and they go, oh, it's not really working. Or 2 posts, that didn't work that much. My favorite one's been people go, something wrong with the algorithm. No. Yeah, it's not. I have it in groups and they're like, last week, Facebook had great reach and this week, not so great. And I'm like, do you know what? Probably because the videos were probably shitter. That's probably why.
That's why.
Yeah, the video. Normally, if the content's not performing, it's probably shit. That's why. It's not the algorithm. We haven't done it long enough.
I know, but it's having that like discipline, isn't it, to like keep going with it and not blame everything else. But like the local
networking works. You're very right.
Networking works, and local things like even things like sponsoring local teams, going into local nurseries and schools, trying to gain some. If you imagine, if wherever you are, write a list of like the 10 most influential things in that area, or the 10 companies, or if you walked about the street, or if you asked someone, do you know this company? Do you know this company? Find like I always like to look at things and think, right, where's the absolute best I need to be? Work down from that, and they're the ones who I want to try and get associated with. So try and do that locally, because that'll gain you some confidence and some, what's the word? It's clout, like some clout in terms of like.
You did that really well, where you partnered with, like I actually did a podcast episode on this, which is out now, which was talking about networking. It's saying local. It's everything you're talking here, which is really great. And it was like, if you're a local and you're right at the beginning, like local sponsoring school fates and school teams, football teams, sports teams. You did the thing where you paired up with the gym, partner with the gym. And like, if you just go where you know many people go in your community. And as you say, once you're local enough, you don't have to then, as you then start to push out nationally, you can turn that off, because people know who you are by that point. They'll just refer anyway.
Yeah. And it's like, it seems like at the beginning, and it is, you've got to like put out money, or you might have to invest time, and you think you might not get it back. But at the end of the day, if you don't try, you don't know. So like partner up with local gym, the schools, football teams, charities, Wind in the Womb, the private scanning clinic, like all of those things. I wouldn't say I've had a huge influx of leads from it, but I know a hell of a lot more people know the business because of it. Yeah. And eventually that will come back around. It's like building that, like that the bigger the stage is in terms of how many people are going to know who you are and what you're doing. And yes, you can put, like, people would argue, say, just do Facebook advertisement or do a paid. You're not going to get the same effect, because it looks so easy and so effortless. I know when I look at things like that, I just think, well, someone's just paid to have that put there.
Well, the issue you have with stuff like that in general, like, I'm a complete anti-paid. Again, done a podcast episode on this, talking about it, but it is very much like the problem with paid is the problem you have with what you're saying here, which is completely, well, 100% would agree, because it's what we work on, and is when you go after organic takes, which is what you're doing, takes a long time, but it's real. And so you can't lose it. It's one of those things it might take a year, 2 years to build, but once it's there, it's like rock solid. It's like a fan base. When you use paid ads, and that's the issue I think with business owners, that where they want it now. When you use paid ads, literally, like my wife's business where she worked, they used to advertise on Google all the time. They say, we've got all this business coming in. And then they go, do you know what? We've got so much business. We don't need Google. We don't need Google because, we're so busy.
Yeah.
Turn off the Google ads. And within a month, where's everyone gone? Where do you think? Because you never built a brand. You're just paying to be in front of people. And that
what's the word? You're not being is it authentic?
Yeah, authentic. You're not
authentic. Like, it's that whole thing going back to like being who you are and showing who you are. You can only put up an act for so long.
Yeah.
And like all of those things that I've done, I've paid out, honestly, the amount of money I've probably spent, and it hasn't directly paid back yet. But I know that there's a lot more awareness, especially locally.
All those sweets you've done, all the sweets, the gifts, the this.
Every single client gets a box of sweets, and you'd be looking at, like, when I first started, like when I worked at my old firm, I used to, and I was the first one to do this, and I was the only one who did it. Bearing in mind, I had 3 kids. My husband worked away, and on a Sunday, and I used to, like when I think about the hours I used to do, I'd work 7 days a week. Whenever the client wanted, whatever appointment needed, I'd do it all, and I'd be working ridiculous hours. And every single month, one of the days, probably a Sunday, which was quieter, I'd put the kids in the car and I would go out and deliver tulips to every single client. Every single client got a bunch of tulips hand delivered to their door from me. And it was like, there's no way of me measuring what I got back from that, but I know that I got a hell of a lot more social media posts than any other advisors, because not only would they put the post on to say thank you very much for doing my insurance, 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, they then put another post up of a picture of the tulips or a picture of the sweets and say thank you very much to Karla who's done this. And people like effort, and they like to know that they're not just another number. And I made like a commitment. I'm very like, if I say I'm going to do something, I have to do it. And I remember when I started, I thought I need to do something different. And a little way of me saying thank you for people supporting me is this. And people like the effort. Like, if someone turned up at my house with something for me, as opposed to sending it in the post, I'd be like, as if you've made the effort to do, not only like come and do to give me that, but to take the time to do that.
That's like basic, like funny. That's like basic sales. Like when I was an estate agent, that was what my old boss used to say all the time. You go and value the house, and he'd say, "I hope." You said, "You think they're coming on the market?" Yeah, he said, "I hope you're going to deliver the report to their house. You're not going to just go and email them." And I used to think, "Oh bastard, what is he like the email?" But you know what? He's so right, because every time, because you'd get in and you go, "Here's the report. Did you have any questions?" "Oh, thank you so much." And it's mad how much. People turning up on the doorstep and going, I wanted to give this to you. The people go, I mean, it's not scalable. But what you're talking about here, all this stuff is not stuff that you're talking about scalable. All these people are worried about things that are scalable, like, in their new starters.
Yeah.
Right now, you just got to get your foot in the door.
Yeah, just do it. Like, build your foundation of it. Like all of those things. Do I still drive around and deliver tulips? No, because my business is now all over. Like now, back then it was all face-to-face appointments and it was all local. Now, because of like the fact that the majority of my stuff's through social media, I very rarely do people local now. Like, I still do them, but not a lot. It's more now I post them out in the post because I can't physically drive around and see them. But
you got squash tulips.
Well, like literally, no, like the sweets. We had to move to sweets, didn't we? Only so now we do. But like, I used to do that. I did that for 18 months of delivering things out, making sure that everyone got something, because that was how I knew it would not only build the business, but leave people feeling the way I wanted them to feel. And sometimes you've got to do things in terms of networking and building a brand that might not necessarily directly impact you in your pocket, but it's going to leave people having a view of you that, like, how do you want people to view you? Like, I always want people to view me. I want people to view me as she's a nice person, she'll look after you, and she's very honest. That was always my, like, am I good at sales? I'm absolutely amazing at sales. Unbelievable. But I'm not unbelievable at sales because I'm wanting to try and sell to people. I'm unbelievable at sales because I'll be very direct. I don't beat around the bush, and I understand things quickly, and I'm very high emotionally. Like I can vibe people really good. But my main priority in terms of my clients and when I was building the businesses, I want people to know that I'm a good person and that my heart's in the right place. And because being a good salesperson or getting someone a good deal is not going to build your business. It will for a certain amount of time, and you will get business, you will get money from it. But I don't want that. I want to build a company that is remembered for being a good company. I've always said I don't want to be the biggest. I want to be the best. Like I want to be the best company. I want to be the company that, you know, like mothers and sisters and brothers and friends say, use her because she's really nice and she's really good. Like that's what I wanted. And doing things that are selfless in terms of going out and delivering flowers or going out at Christmas. Like at Christmas, I used to go out, bless me, my grandma. I'm going to miss her this year. Like when the 2 years, anyone that was local, at Christmas in December, you know I did because I put it on, but like I'd wear a Christmas hat and my Christmas earrings, and I'd go and deliver all of them a Christmas card and a box of celebrations. And I don't like, I'm not saying I'm amazing. I don't have to do that. I don't think there's many people who do that, but it made me feel so good. It was one of those, you know, on Friends. I don't know whether do you watch Friends?
Yes, of course, yes.
But, you know, when Phoebe does that episode where she's like, there's no such thing as an unselfish act.
Yeah.
Whenever you do something nice for someone, you're getting something back. And she's like, and he's like, no. And they have this argument. And then every time she does something nice, she goes, oh, damn it. Like, no, that's how it feels like. It's like you want to do something really nice, but it also feels amazing as well. So really,
that's why you're doing it. Yeah, no, it's funny because you said like you're super successful at what you do. There's only one person I met was similar to you when I was an advisor, was a woman called Kate Stratton. And she was a mortgage advisor. She wasn't a protection. She sold a lot of protection, funny enough. Back in, don't even know if she's still doing business, but she did everything you're talking about here. And it was funny because she was Connell's top performer, like big performer. She'd do like 300 grand a year. And what was funny was when people ask why, it was just this. Every client would get a Moonpig card through the door with the house on the thing. Every client would get flowers. Every client would get, like, she just spent the time to actually do the things that, and people would say, she'd have hundreds of clients and she'd be like, yeah, but they all get that. Everyone gets this thing. And it never, you'd hear all the people being like, no, but you don't need to do that. And then you go, yeah, but she's doing 300 grand and you're all doing 150. Yeah. So and you tell me.
Oh, well, how much money is that costing? Like,
yeah, that was everything you said before. Everyone, and all of that stuff was private because it wasn't through the company. She'd do it. So she'd have the moon. They go, well, the Moonpig card, that's going to cost them, you know, like that's going to cost them £5. It's just a proper nice one. It all arrived with the stuff and the hamper and she was like, yeah, but then they remember. And what was funny was when she left Connell's, she took all them with her, as in all those clients. Where are they going to go?
Buy into you. That's what I mean. Like the networking thing. You want people to buy you. They're not buy it anywhere, can they?
I remember, and this just shows you, and she actually changed my perspective. And she's the only other person I've met who's like you. And you will have this, I'm sure, with a similar thing. I remember because we worked in the corporates. If she wasn't very well, bless her, so we had to cover her office, and I had to cover her office for a little bit, and it was the worst experience I ever had because people walked through the door, and they literally were like, "No," and they're like, "No, I want to speak to Kate," and I'd be like, "Well, we all for part of the same company. No, Kate is my mortgage advisor. I want to speak to her," and I'd be like, "Well, she's not here at the moment. Well, I'll wait then." And they go and they just leave. And you literally be like, because you think, I'm going to get in this office where there's tons of business and not a single one. And you tell me whether it was a waste of money or not. Do you know whether you can check that? Because it's not just about the money. It was, they were not interested. And I think that's what you'll have. I know you've had that. I know you had that same experience, you know, of people being like, when you left your previous employer, like they'll be like, no, I want to work with Karla. And whether that's, I'm not like, it's funny, it's mad that people that would still argue that going the extra mile on something has any return value.
No, it definitely does. In the end of the day, like you need to before you start putting a roof on, you need to lay foundations, and the foundations are the things that you might not think are going to bring you anything back, but they're going to get you somewhere eventually. Like you have to do the shitty little bits that probably aren't going to make you money, but if you're doing it with a good heart and you know that you're wanting to make sure people are left feeling satisfied and feel like they're valued, you're never going to be out of business. You're going to get business. It might take you a year, but if you're not willing, I say it all the time, but if someone said to me 2 years ago, do everything you've done and you'll be in this position now, I'd have smiled and clapped my way through it, like, not a problem. And it's like, you never know how far away you are from that one person who would make a massive difference to your business. But if you treat everyone the same way, you're never going to be short of leads or creating a business that's going to be successful. You just got to be asked to put the time and effort into it.
100%. Any other parting words before we end this one? This has been a long one as well.
Just always never reject an opportunity because you think it's not going to have an immediate return, because sometimes things are worth waiting and worth working for.
Absolutely. Boom.